But now you guys are horizontal, so uh, it's all right. That'll, that's actually better for me for concentration, right? I can go back to the chat, but I won't be able to see it when I'm bringing the genius, and that's what we're doing today. We're bringing the genius. It looks like this is easy, Chad, but you got to remember when you don't stream for a long time, there's zones to get it. There's layers of bass. I feel like I feel like I'm at the. I'm not even in the. I'm not even in the. Yeah. You guys are going to be blown away. You know, I know these are late promises, not empty promises, so I shouldn't talk about them too much. But you're going to be blown away by the new setup, the lighting. I'm going to look like a movie star. Like it's never going to be this ugly again. Um, and as you can see, I don't have a keyboard today with my PC, so there's a reason for that. Okay, let me grab a charger for this. Yeah, hold on. Okay.
Oh, he's rejoining in a second. Just grabbing a charger, and he's back.
Okay, I saw someone mention in chat. I saw someone say no stupid questions, and yeah, dude, I wanna like underline that. You know how all great teachers will be like, "There's no such thing as a stupid question." Yeah, what the fuck is up with that? Of course there is. There's so much time wasting questions, bro. Yo, Hex, I gotta do it like this. I can't see chat. Show me what you're seeing, guys. Not that bad, right? All good. Listen, man, I'm missing it. This is our second snow day. So I'm missing a snow day for this, guys. I'm not rescheduling this. I want to wrap this up in 3 hours, not 4. All right, show me one more hex and I'll start. Logo's not showing. That's it? That's all you're seeing is me just. Man, let me just do this. How about that? Lean back. Bro, this feels a little presidential and fucking gay. Be all the way back here. And I can't see the chat from here, but I don't need to see the chat, man. I need caffeine. All right, where was I? No such thing as a stupid question. Yeah, that's bullshit. Okay. There's a lot of time waster questions. There's a lot of questions that are just like buzzwords that like Zerka will know these buzzwords like Enderman. Very time waster. And another thing that's a huge time waster with these kind of questions is like when they flip topics. Let's ride out a whole topic. You know how my brain works. Right? You know how my concentration works. I mean, I can do it differently, but it's less entertaining. And I feel like if you're not entertained, you're not learning. There's like there's something people get by being entertained. You know, they learn things faster that way. Okay. Yeah, we can start questions, or we can start off where we left off last time. Up to you guys. And just put good question in front of your question. So I'll go to the good ones first. And let's do 3 hours of raw, straight caffeine energy. Burn every thought to its core. All right. Senior Grandos, we're going to give you a 30-minute timeout for a stupid question. Yeah, I don't give a fuck about questions about me. Like, this is not about me. This is like, or I can just start flexing. It can be, actually, I get my kickback on this day. Like, shut the fuck up with that. It's about the chat. You guys act like this is the stream, bro. This is not the stream. Yurga, why did a girl friend zone me after showing initial high interest the first couple of months? It's very simple walk. You did not pass the security test of does he make me feel safe? One in the chat if you believe that's what it is, because you come to 1,000 different conclusions as a young guy about why the bitch flipped on you, and it's always the same caveman answer. And you don't get it until like years down the road, until you have something to compare her to, like other chicks. Like in the beginning, I wasn't that good. I wasn't around that many chicks, so I was like, yeah, exactly. Well, what's the reason I'm losing frame? Oh, it's because I said this. Because it's not because of one thing. It's like a group of things making another human feel unsafe. And why I'm like sounding like I'm defending her side is because that's the only way you always win, right? It's like you have so many things you beat yourself up about, which is not good, right? I don't think that's a good mindset. Like everyone hates a downer. No one wants to be around a downer. But if there's one thing you're going to beat yourself up about, I really think it should be, did you make your homies, your chick, your dog, your cat, your whoever feel safe? If you're not making people feel safe around you, you're not really bringing the team aspect of winning. Like when I say team aspect of winning, I'm saying winners look like team players or leaders of a group, maybe coach, but it's still a team there, right? Not like Mark Cuban, but well, he is a winner. He makes a lot of money, right? He's a winner in his own way, although we hate him here. Hate's a strong word. We don't hate him, but he's weird. And so anytime a young guy asks this question about, hey, what did I do wrong? Why did she flip? Why did she stop sending these kind of pics and blah, 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 blah? It's always the same answer and a million fake shadow answers surrounding that you like to pull from because you hate the fact that you didn't make someone feel safe, which is normal, right? Have you learned your lesson? Did anyone around you after she disappeared on you, did anyone around you also double down on what she was saying? Did anyone else trigger your shadow and remind you that you're not making them feel safe? Very primal, right? But we're talking about attraction, and attraction will always have another answer or antidote by, let's say, these fucking dating coaches. And they're either too stupid to miss out on the caveman aspects of attraction, or they're telling you some bullshit. Because if the answer is always looping back to you have to level up, they're telling you the truth. So that experiment of would I date me? Why does everyone lie about that? You know, you ask the average man to stop lying for 1 minute in his life and he cannot do it. You'd be like, okay, chatter, would you date yourself? Oh, well, not right now, but yeah. And it's all this fake, phony gibberish that no one's ever humiliated enough into. Like, if you hear yourself, you think it would humiliate you that you're giving us all that gibberish, right? Even especially winners and losers do that because winners are winning by the law of accident, most of them. When you figure that out, you actually find this world very funny because then you just start seeing a bunch of losers around you. And I don't mean losers like, oh, I'm better than you. I mean like you're at your level and you're losing. When I was at that level, I was adapting better. You know, adapting better is like a form of self-love. Learning your lesson is a form of self-love. I don't know how else to explain it. It's like not learning your lesson is a nasty wrist, psychic wrist cutting energy that it's gay, really. It's kind of like people who make a poetic deal about their suffering. Uh, I do that sometimes, and I'll cope by saying, "Well, I got paid by it. Oh, it did something. It no, if it's holding you back from leveling up, then I don't care how much you get paid from it. It's you're assuming there's going to be a pause in a psychic energy, like that you're freezing for maybe weeks or months at a time. That's not good. That's not good. I don't even care if you made $10,000 off that method. If you have a couple months of being a choke artist, then what happens when opportunity knocks on your door? What happens when some Kai Senat puts you on and you totally fucking freeze? You know what I mean? Then how much money did you lose there when you're looking at through it like financially? It's yeah, anything that's making you freeze is not good. But to answer your question, no chick has ever flipped on a guy that made them feel safe, right? There are some alphas who'll DM me and they'll be like, "What? I have everything." Dude, if you have that alpha life and she feels safe and she still dips, it's because you have too many bitches around. No human can feel safe if they're being replaced. Do you understand what I'm saying? All right. Wow, there's a lot of questions. All right. Um, how do you decide your career path? This is such a stupid fucking question, bro. Like you need to fuck off. You need an hour time on. I don't know anything about you, dude. Even if I spent all day with you, I don't know anything about you. And here's the scary part is you don't know anything about yourself. Like if you're 25, 30 years old and you don't know anything about yourself or where you're headed to in life, your career path, that's not something you should beat yourself down about, but you should really ask yourself what occupies your energy if not answering that question of remembering self. It's like for thousands of years, it's been the same question. Philosophers, I made a tweet about this. Philosophers don't get past their problems. They're kind of just showing you what they went through. And if you've seen my lecture on being conscious and how how little of your life is actually conscious, I'm not saying there's subconscious factors that there's death drives and stuff. I'm saying there's layers to you being unconscious, and the more layers, the bigger, not to use harsh language, but the bigger loser you are, right? So if someone is 50 layers deep, unconscious, that's probably a winner in life. If someone is 250 layers down the rabbit hole, unconscious, he's probably losing. And most humans you see at Walmart are probably 1,000 layers unconscious, meaning they're a legion of people. You're not you. If you could answer who you are, you'd feel a lot healthier, but you're not you. And that whole psychic tension of who am I comes from the fact that man is a legion, man is a crowd of people. That's why one day you want to do one thing and the next day you want to contradict that. That's why I embrace anytime I contradict myself. That's why I embrace so hard the Christian and the cigarette bitches guy, the both sides of me, or 10 sides of me. I embrace it because only an idiot would spend their whole life on the internet saying, well, that's contradictory, that's this, that. To be human is to contradict yourself in 100 ways. If you ever were honest enough to actually look in the mirror and see that in yourself, you would go mad. Most people do go psychotic. Most people don't go psychotic. Most people go very far asleep and they're actually dead. And I don't mean dead inside. I don't mean this like poetically. I mean they're just dead. And they walk around Walmart dead, and they've been dead for a long time and nobody realizes it. Especially they don't realize it, right? But if you could realize how many people on earth are dead, like how many people do you think watch some sports ball or Jake Paul or whatever, how many chatters are actually not asleep but dead? They're not coming back. There are many layers in. Nothing can make them let go of their suffering. They hate anything that asks them to, hey, why don't you be in the moment for a sec? They want to be deep asleep, and they might even kill you if you try and wake them up even one layer. I know no one in history has ever talked about the layers thing, but you should see it as blankets. It's a lot easier than unconscious and conscious. It's very stupid when people think that you could just snap out of it. And there's very few moments in your life where you will be awake, right? That's why there's no dumber question than, hey, John, you don't know who I am, but what should I do with my career? I like sports ball, and because it's like, dude, you're asking the only question that matters on earth, and you're substituting it to someone else like me. And a lot of people can be misled and go down paths and fall through the laws of accident in certain ways where they think like they're going the right path, but they always circle back, especially if they have money. Like if you see someone who finally gets their life together, that's the first question they ask is, who the fuck am I? And then, crisis hits. But yeah, that's probably the dumbest question. I'm trying to make it worth your while, guys, but that's a question that's going to take your whole life to answer. And you're going to have moments of relief as you're trying to do it. But um, I don't want to like scare you, but you guys like to talk about in mystery traditions when someone's enlightened. Dude, enlightenment is nothing. It's a big deal to us, to the world, because there's so many books and movies and TVs on this topic. But initiation actually comes after enlightenment. Enlightenment is like literally the first step. So that's how, when you see that, you'll realize how asleep people actually are, where it's like, wait a minute, the first step is the step that's the most venerated in society right now. Yeah, dude, for thousands of years, it, not to scare you, but this is the best of times and it's the worst of times. It's both, but it's really the worst of times when you think of how asleep people are. It's a terrifying time to be alive if you're that kind of guy who wants to be the cool kid with the nice sneakers and go to the party. If you want to be that guy, it's probably the most terrifying time in history to be asleep, in my opinion, because you could walk into some parties and never come back. Like I would always balance when I was living in LA with Mike, partying with the bitches, and then immediately alone for the next 2 days, just reading my books. So I'm back to reality, you know. And reality is your spirituality. It's your spiritual practice, which has nothing to do with religion. It's you versus you. And everything out there is going to kind of, it's not clinging onto you to, like, matter's not clinging onto you and making you go to sleep because it's just raw and evil. It's like, dude, there's a lot of fun there too, right? And just 5 more minutes, just 5 more minutes, just 5 more minutes. And then your whole life is flashes by you and you're like, whoa, that 5 minutes went. Just all of that just because you didn't want to answer the question of who am I? What am I doing here? What did I incarnate to do? And I'm not talking about reincarnation. I'm talking about when you look at through a Christian lens of uh, you cannot go to heaven unless you've been from heaven, meaning you took the stairway down, or how all these mystery traditions will talk about 7 planes, 7 dimensions, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, clearly man has taken a step down, and it's in all religious texts, right? And I like to talk about all of them because there's huge overlap. This huge overlap is where we can find a lot of truth, right? Because if I just give a fundamentalist Christian perspective, I'm really not saving anyone. I'm not helping anyone. Kind of just making people feel that team spirit. What's that called? That sports ball team spirit. Like, hey, we're the Yankees, bro. And I'll be damned if someone pays to have me as a teacher, and then they're a native or an Indian or this guy or that guy in this part of the world, and then they just look at me like, is he talking about Christianity again? I have no clue about that, right? That's a dangerous game to play. That's a dumb game to play, you know. I mean, it's good for riling the troops, but it's not good for your inner core teaching because it's like there's a lot of pagans in here. There's a lot of atheists in here. There's a lot of fake Christians in here. When you look at how many lies a human makes when he's speaking, when you find out man cannot stop lying, just everything that comes out is a lie to himself, which is the worst kind of lie. Then you find out that, wow, all those Christian chatters are faking it. And yeah, they are. There's very few moments in time where you're conscious enough to even feel the Holy Spirit, right? You can talk about it all day and say, well, it's within it. You can do all that, but you're not conscious of it. And if you were conscious of it, you would stop doing that thing where you pretend you got it figured out. There's a lot of guys on Twitter who they think they got the universe figured out. Like, Dirk, I want you to tackle it from this point of view. And it's like, you have no following, no teaching, nothing I can even critique, and you want me to do it from your point of view? No, I think I'll stick to mystical Christianity, and you can stick to Protestantism, Catholicism, or whatever is separating your in groups. Because it's like, dude, the in group is here for a reason, right? There's teamwork here. This is not the Wild West on Twitter where we say stuff to be funny. Where what did I say today? I said a dog does more for society than a black guy. I don't get why people even get angry at that. I just posted Kanye. Kanye's done so much for society, right? I guess they can't tell what's bait and stuff. I think they actually believe that I wake up with like anger. Then I notice a lot of the audience is angry. Like it was kind of embarrassing how angry Nick's audience was for years. I think I remember telling Nick this. I said, yeah, it's a huge mistake to say, oh, something bad happened to this person because God, because God, because God, because God. If you see Nick and their guys do that a lot, I remember years ago saying to Nick, I'm like, don't do that, dude. That's the one thing you cannot do there. If someone gets like hit by a bus or something, you can't say, well, it's because he was a criminal and God hates him and blah, blah, blah. And Nick and his team would constantly do that for years. And then as soon as someone went to his doorstep to kill Nick, they were very quiet. And I was like, this is why you cannot do that whole God wanted it to happen argument. This is why you have to be more nuanced here, because now it looks like God's trying to kill you, bro. And they got so angry at me for that. They're like, well, no, that was different. And I was like, no, it's not. We're talking about events. We're talking about events like tragedies and stuff, right? So you have to be careful with a lot of that stuff. That's unconscious language, right? And I do think humans get punished for dividing people. I really do. I'm not talking about like a post online and stuff. I really see that all falling into the law of accident and stupid shit. It's not a big deal. But when we're talking about your core community, yo, I'm telling you, you guys need a lot more than some YouTuber talking about scripture. You guys need a lot more. And you guys need that one dude to tell you, hey, your answer is within. Believe me, the scripture is not trying to sound poetic when it's saying that. You're trying to solve the mystery of being. You're not trying to look like a Catholic monk online. Okay. All right, let's go next. What is the esoteric reason behind laughter? I thought since I dropped all my notes and books, I thought you guys would know this by now, but you guys should know this. The esoteric reason behind laughter is to release surplus energy. So energy that stays inside too long and starts becoming toxic and hurting you. Yeah, the whole laughter is medicine thing. Yeah, that's true. And it gets rewarded so much. Funny people get rewarded so much in the world, right? But all physicians, anyone doing their part in society to alleviate pain, they get very rewarded in life. You just don't focus on it too much because you're too busy thinking about Jay-Z and stuff. But when I talk about rewarded in life, I'm talking about peace of mind and a good uh, flow of energy in life. Like flow of energy meaning time, money, all that, whatever. Freedom. Okay. Hey, Zerga, how can I motivate myself to consistently go to the gym? I'm really doing well with my career, but I'm struggling with my diet, staying disciplined. Yeah, 100%. If you have a struggle with fitness, diet, all that, but you're doing good in your career and you're afraid of building a shadow against that, 100% the only answer has always been you have to break the pattern, the psychic pattern of in your head you associate the gym with something negative. You if you can find a way, and there's a million ways, if you can find a million ways to make the gym fun, like a video game with points throughout your day, which is also practicing being mindfulness, being in the moment, being there for yourself. Yeah, if you find systems of fun with your challenge, you break the pattern of, oh, I have to do this to, oh, this is a part of my day. If you cannot find a way to make it even a little 10% more fun, 20% more fun, you're a piece of shit. Your being is a piece of shit, and you have to let go of your suffering. And that's something you do daily. That's something you do hourly. Yeah, that's a remembering practice. That's a memory practice to let go of your suffering. A lot of times you're angry for no reason throughout your day. That's how you know you haven't let go of your suffering. And it's not one time grab. It's you're gonna keep gripping onto it. It's the only way to live. Because I believe, and I might be wrong, but I believe it's because suffering usually has meaning to it. And we're so afraid of letting go of suffering because then we don't have meaning. We're just like, what happens then? And it's like, dude, you get on with yourself. That's the whole point of this. It's mastering getting on with yourself. I'm not saying you're going to master it, but you will get good at it. And if you master it, you definitely won't be here. You know, you will move on from social media, internet. There will be a time in your life for maybe 5% of you. I don't know how many people are here, but a small amount of you, there will be a time in your life where you let go of all technology and stuff like that. Most people can't do that. Most people are going to walk the double path of both, which is good. But some of you are going to see how, oh, wow, I didn't really need Zerka. I didn't really need this. I didn't really need that. Oh, wow, it's never about adding things, it's about subtracting. Everything in life is about subtracting. whether you have to delete stuff off your phone and galleries and photos and maybe memory holes. Maybe you look at older memories too much, which there's nothing wrong with that, but you can always find fault in it if you're not moving, if you haven't moved. I'm talking about not just body. I'm talking about your thinking, feeling, and moving parts, right? Or even worse, if you're in real depression, it would be your instinctive center. So everything that makes you, like to your core, your reflexes, your all that. And those things lock up one at a time. You know, for some people, thinking locks up, and then emotional thinking will take over, or just feelings, right? Or we'll call it emotional thinking. There are all types of thinking, right? You're moving is a type of thinking. For example, if I told you to use your thinking center as you're driving a car, you would be like, turn left here, it's too slow. You just use your moving center, right? You just move the fucking car, right? You get in motion. Thinking used for other things, feelings used for other things. But I'm not going to do a whole lecture on that. I'm just going to say, just to sum it up, uh, you have to find what angle you're suffering from, right? You have to find what is freezing you. Suffering is not just thinking about your own suffering. It could be doing something very, very sloppy. Like I say, the dirtiest thing. I don't think I've ever done this in my life. If you could find one clip of me doing this, I'll give you $1,000. But I don't think in my 30 years on Earth, and I lived a cool life, pretty interesting life with essence. And then I lost some of it for personality, and then personality had a big, very kind of awesome life, and the good and bads in both. And to me, I don't know about the world, but I think why people come to my website and channel, why they come to me as a teacher, like I want to hear from you, I want to download this kind of stuff. You're not downloading stuff. You're unlearning. I'm telling you to unlearn stuff, right? You're remembering stuff. That's always the angle you should look at it from, so you're optimistic, right? So it's already in your hand. But I think the number one reason people come to me is because I simplify a lot, right? Even when I get complicated, I simplify, right? Or if I drop a complicated lecture, I'll bring jokes to some simplified. And you should probably ask yourself, why is this simplifying so effective for me moving on with myself, getting on with my day? Why is that so effective? When Zerka simplifies something, there's something about me that like viscerally, I feel that. And it's like, bro, I'm telling you to subtract when everything in society is telling you to add. But if I subtract, what if there's nothing left? And then I'm just like a gray blob, and you are more interesting when you cut down and subtract. The core you has untapped memories. And I'm telling you, I've done it with drugs. I've done it sober. I've done it in a psychedelic state without thinking anything, right? Just really, really putting my head into it. And I've done it in so many different ways, and then I realized, oh wow, this is kind of mixed with the law of accident, where I don't really know how I did that. But it's happened to me so many times, especially under pressure on podcasts, where it's like, who the fuck is this guy talking? This guy's really good. This other version of me, who is that? And it's just from letting go of the chains and letting other versions of you come out. Because, dude, you are not man. You're a legion of people. You're a legion of yourselves and a legion of spirits. Some are fucking demonic. I'd say most. You know, this is why for most of my life I've been into meditation. You know, even when I was really bad at it. Like, I really feel like for the last 5 years, people say, "Oh, I got something figured out." I really don't think that. I think the last year and a half I got figured out, and it's a lot of that is from remembering myself, remembering my skills, what I'm good at, so that stuff can shine when it needs to, and then it can fuck off when it doesn't need to. But when you realize at your core there's a crowd of you, right? There's not one dead hexer, there's 100 dead hexers, and some of them battle each other. And you can tell they battle each other if someone is doing worse in life or better in life or whatever. There's not one chatter, there's let's say 100 chatters in you. Who knows? But there's like over 100 for sure. And then there's also other thought forms that you're pretty much just walking into. You're being hit by these things. They're invisible, right? They're not you. And all you want to do is identify and live. So you go, I want to identify this. I'm the funny guy. I'm the basketball guy. I'm the stoner guy. You try to identify to all these, but look at the most effective people throughout history is they don't identify. They use it as a skill and move the fuck on, right? And that's a scary thing because what happens when a human doesn't have something to identify with? Well, there's mental breakdown there, right? Have you ever seen a football player who quits playing football? Yeah, it's a scary thing, right? Yeah, it's terrifying. And it comes down to like, I can't emphasize how I can't emphasize enough how important a spiritual practice of zeroing your thoughts is. Where I really don't think there. I love prayers. This changed my life, but and it is a form of prayer. But I just don't understand how in today's day and age, meditation is not the number one most talked about thing. Where it's like, oh wow, so meditation means 20 minutes. I can rewind 10,000 hours. 10,000 spiritual hours, that's insane. I can flush out all those thoughts. That's so worth it. On paper, these mystics got it down. Wow, the Taoists, these guys got it down. And it's like, dude, most people don't, if they like to lie to you and say, oh, I don't meditate because they'll say boring or this, or I don't have the attention span, or so many excuses. But really what they're saying to you is, I don't want to let go of my suffering. I have 1,000 thoughts I suffer with every day. And I'm worried at zero, what's going to be at zero? What if it gets worse? And it's like, what the fuck? You better have a spiritual practice every single day of your life where you drop all those thoughts off and this should terrify you. Like, I'm not here to like spread fear, but I'm pretty sure if it terrified me, it's going to terrify you. Remember last year when we read that 95% of a man's thoughts he repeats every day of his life? What an incredible even if you're a winner, you're a loser because you're having the same thoughts. Like, even if you're winning in life, you're having the same thoughts. That's terrifying, right? And I didn't realize this because, for the last year, I was like, I'm sure, I love my system of meditation because I've been through enough synchronicities in my life to where meditation is insanely effective for whatever I'm trying to do, especially if I'm trying to do the hardest thing, which is nothing, right? To do nothing is really hard because it means you're identifying with nothing. And you'll have moments where you think of nothing and you're playing a good football game. Some people call it flow state or whatever. But really, you're not identifying with anything but that moment. In that moment, you can't be anything but that moment. And you're like, oh, wow, what a great 10 minutes of football I played. Well, that state, you don't even have to look at the papers of the medical practices that can back me up. You don't have to look at all the geniuses throughout history that had their best ideas come through this. You just have to look at an example like, let's say, I don't want to compare a successful person like Sneeko, right, versus me. It takes a lot of crack and drugs to make me go crazy, but I'm very normal when it comes down to my thinking, my process, my spiritual practice every day. I'm very normal compared to Sneeko, where Sneeko is, have you noticed he's always chasing his own tail? I love the guy to death, but it looks like he's always drowning in overthinking. Whether he's doing good or doing regular, have you noticed that? And I asked him, I'm like, do you ever stop I love chasing my own tail. I get it's entertaining. I get the building personality over essence sometimes is, it's everyone wants to laugh. I get that. But have you ever noticed that it doesn't look like just because Sneeko went to sleep, he got peace of mind? Like, to me, he doesn't look like he's a good example. I use him. He's a bad example for you guys, but he's good for me because he does what I do, right? But have you noticed he can't stop chasing his own tail? Like, what is that about? Where he gave such good advice to Aiden about like you've made enough money now. Now it's about being, right? And then he doesn't think of that for himself. Like I can see him really burning out. I haven't said this to him. I don't know. I think it's rude if I just like get out. I feel like he knows I believe this, right? I've said it, I think, once when we're together, but I think of that for Heel Mike too. But he's a different. Well, I guess they're all the same case when you think of it psychically. What's the antidote? But what are you talking about? Don't distract me like that, man. But yeah, I really think that if you could have an animation in your head every day before you start your day of how you're perceiving reality, I really do think it's you wake up, you have thought forms, you have feeling forms, you have even motor forms, right? Of you, oh, I gotta walk to the store, and there's a thought of you walking to the store that you have to do that. And then if the plans change, you have to go to the store for some reason, you don't know why, you're locked into that because you want to go unconscious again. And it's like, there's no power in being unconscious, my dude. There is no power there. Uh, Anytime you feel that there's power there, you can really, really fall off the top fast. And it's like, I believe you guys should all experiment and learn the hard way, right? So I never say what you guys should do per se, but what I think you should remember is, and I don't think anyone disagrees, a human walks around with the same thoughts, let's say 1,000 thoughts, and they're all stabbing him. But ask yourself, when do they go away? If he's carrying them every day, then when does the human have a break? And it's so stupid how people see it, because if you look at the Himalayan tradition or the ancient Chinese or whatever, or you look at our favorite is the Holy Grail Christians, right? They all said the same thing, where it's like you're not meditating for 20 minutes of silence. 20 minutes goes down to 10,000 hours in your being, which, if you know how that kind of solar clock works, it's like you're getting half of your day at more peace, not at full peace, definitely not at perfect peace, because you have that device, your phone, you still have a life to get to, and there's stress with that. I get that, but I would guarantee half your day, if you can make your mind your bitch for at least 20 minutes of your day. Forget all the supernatural stuff. I'm not even talking about speaking to other worldly dimensions and spirits and none of that. I'm not talking about communing with angels like you're a Holy Grail Christian. I'm not talking about any of the extra stuff that we like to get into here, which I really think if you try and jump into that stuff quick, you go into the deep end fast. Like you will fuck yourself up. So yeah, I'm just talking about the psychological benefits of just being your own master. Can you be your own master for 20 minutes of the day? And I guess I'll pose it as like a challenge, is like, if for the last few years I was on again and off again until this last year, where it's like I felt like I owed God a strong spiritual practice with meditation, because I was like, kind of have everything. I don't think, what if you ever say I want more, I want this, I want that, especially when talking about something spiritual, I feel like that's really dark, right? But I mean, I think Dead Hex is the only one who can see like my progression, where it's like every year I got better, but there's a psychosis also following it, and that's from like overworking, because some people are not meant to work with their thinking center and their feeling center and their willing center, and get burnt out and then overcompensate with, hey, let's try a certain potion, let's try certain narcotics to keep this mind going, and the mind doesn't keep going, it always grows, right? That's why we have to reduce, and it really comes down to like, if you realize what I'm telling you, that a reduction in thinking equals real, genuine, pure thoughts, real thought forms that are from your core, that change your life, that you've probably seen these when you were under immense stress in a high adrenaline state, or maybe in a theta halfway state, right? When you're in between sleep and awake and you have that great idea. When you realize, oh, wow, that in between sleep and awake, that halfway state can be replicated through meditation, there's so much to be gained here, man. And I don't think a lot of 22-year-old guys or 25-year-old guys listening to me are going to do this, but I have to update you on my last year, right? I have to like, this is the first time I had it unbroken for a year, and I'm like feeling way stronger, not like a hippie. You know, a lot of these meditation guys turn into, should we say the word? Faggot. Um, I don't know what the fuck that is about. I feel like that pillar of strength and mercy. I feel like when people go into one side of being and they stop going for thinking, right? So either Western thinking or Eastern being, I feel like they turn into such hippies and pussies because it's like a lazy way of going around the world, right? And it's like, I don't think if you add what you're supposed to add to your spiritual practice, right? You're supposed to add East and West. I don't think it should make you lazier. I think you should be filled with energy, and not fake energy, not time waster energy, but just enough energy to do what you're supposed to do. And that's it. You can shut off right there, whether it's 8 p.m. for you or 12 for someone else. It's different for, different strokes for different folks, but every day the work should be getting done, right? And it starts from inner work, really. Uh, it is dangerous. I'm not gonna lie. There's what is it, 1% of the population that meditates that goes fucking psychotic. I think that's Heel Mike. So if you're like him, don't do it. Uh, but really, I'm not posing the challenge to you to get anywhere spiritually. I'm saying get to zero. Let's see if you can even master your mind for 20 minutes before you ask a question as stupid as, how do I do this and how do I do that? And Zerka, you were a failure and now your life's kind of easy. And it's never easy because when life got easy financially, then you start thinking, right? Jesus, man. It's never easy, right? For some people win the lottery and that's when it becomes the hardest. So you should remember that it's never easy. Okay. Good question. Do you need to stop fucking horse to find your wife, or is it necessary force on the path? No, it's Mo. I don't know what you're asking, but I think I do. I think I can get there. Let me just use some pictorial imaging here. No, you don't need actually. Look, dude, they're counterintuitive. If you have hose, you have a portal to a different life that you always say, I'll step out of this 5 more minutes though, 5 more minutes though, and you never actually step out. So just like Daslaw or any Christian mystic who, when they work with the Holy Spirit and fixing an arm just with their kind of like Qigong power that Mel Gibson talked about, or prana, energy, whatever you want to call it, right? You look into all mystics, whether Eastern, Christian, whatever, that Greek guy, right? They all say the same thing, is that as the Holy Spirit's doing it and they're not doing anything, and all they're really focusing on is imagining, let's say, that arm or that leg is healed, that diseased arm or leg, that they don't have a medical supply that'll fix that. So they go to these guys as like a last resort, as kind of like their exorcist moment, right? And they all say the same thing, really, is that they're imagining the person healed. So what am I trying to say with that is you should be imagining yourself married every day. That's, most, I'd say 90% of daydreaming is a waste of time. You're doing it wrong. But if daydreaming has the power to transform your feeling, which changes your thinking and willing, then you're doing it correct. So if you're thinking of hoes all the time, you can predict your future by your present, scanning your present and looking at your past. What could be done can never be done because it wasn't done yesterday, right? So I think it's counterintuitive. And if you have a personal question about me, I think I've answered this many times, is I cannot see myself even close to marriage right now. Like, there's so many boxes I've already ticked that I never in a million years thought I would tick at a younger age. These are like, thought I'd just hit some of these spiritual boxes at like 45 or 50. But if you know me, anger issues and a lot of issues solved, not solved, but tomorrow they have to be solved again. Yeah, if you know what I'm like, if you've been around me, you'd see that this last year has been like pretty intense, But it's come at sacrificing a bit of a career, a lot of career, because like God, technology is fucking toxic, dude. There's no sense of being when you're plugged into that world, right? And remember, the most toxic thing you can do is delete technology, right? You should be doing both. I'll always preach both. Is the mic working? Are you guys hearing me, Craig? I feel like I'm speaking low, right? Yeah, so I'm not telling you guys to get into meditation. I'm asking you, is your mind your bitch every day of your life? And if you can say yes, which a lawyer, a doctor cannot say that, um, you should look into lawyers and doctors who do meditate. There are so many amazing people that are so inspiring around the world that they finish their career goals and then set new ones of mastering their mind. And it always comes back to this. I have no idea why these Twitter guys are thinking meditation is just an Eastern thing, where it's like every holy grail, every saint meditated, you fucking retard. And obviously, I didn't promote it as much last year because it's like contemplation is the start, right? You can't meditate until you contemplate who you are. So I really think some of you guys should get into like the inspiration side of things, like religious texts and the Bible and stuff like that. But that's beginner stuff, right? That's beginner stuff. And remember, all we're looking at is pauses in life. If you start a spiritual practice and your money goes down, I don't think it's a spiritual practice. I really don't. Um, maybe it's like Mother Teresa. Maybe that's the exception. If you start a spiritual practice and your fitness level goes down, that's not a spiritual practice. Because again, spirituality is not religion, it's about being, right? How are you being? How are you coping with the world around you, right? How are you coping with your inner world first before you deal with the outer world? So yeah, if your money goes down, it's not a spiritual practice. I'm not saying it has to go up. I'm saying it cannot damage you. If you start a spiritual practice and your fitness gets out of control and you become a fat ass, that's not a spiritual practice. You know you're lying to yourself. I'm not saying you're doing it wrong. I'm saying you're lying to yourself, which is doing it wrong. It's just there is no wrong way because you have to do 1,000 wrong ways before you get it right. Or some people they just tap into it, man. If you can really get out of that, I'm too cool to do this stuff. I think the biggest hindrance towards a good life is being too cool to be around God, right? Because all spirituality comes from a form of talking to yourself, which is you're talking to God, but really it sounds like you're talking to yourself for most of the time, with certain breaks and shocks that get you back on track. But most of the time you feel like you're talking to yourself, and it's like YouTube has sensationalized it, where it's like, no, I started my spiritual practice, I made millions of dollars. No, that's not how it works. Even if your prayer got answered, look at your day to day, add it up week to week, add it up month to month, add it up for a whole year. You'll see what your reality is like. It's very different from someone else's, right? That's why your personal contemplation, your notes are the most important. Like, I wore a blue shirt when I felt like this, and you knowing about yourself is the greatest treasure you can have, man. And I'm telling you, there's nothing a human wants in life. There's nothing a human wants more than being the master of his destiny. I'm saying, like, if you will not want to be Tom Brady or XUC or this guy or Sneaker or that, whoever you're watching, you're not going to want to be them if the offer on the other hand is, well, you're not as successful, but you get to master who this person is. If you have the offer of being XUC versus mastering who you are, whatever potential that comes with, even if it's less than XQCs, you'll always choose yourself. It's very interesting when you look at how much a human loves themselves. Uh, and they can only see it when they see that option of, do you want to be this guy? You get to become XQC when he was 50 and whatever, I don't know when he started, right? And it's actually mind-blowing to see how many people choose themselves for the first time in their life, especially depressed people, right? You know, I believe all of this comes down to courage. I think courage is a funny thing where it's like it builds essence. And if you build too much personality and not essence, kind of go crazy. Or like most people, you kind of fade into some guy who's just video games, goes to bed, and their life isn't that colorful to themselves. I'm not saying to the world. I'm saying if your life gets colorful to yourself, uh, the first thing you're going to want to do is identify and hold on to it, which means you lose it. And one of the first things you're going to want to do is tell me or your friends and family, and no one is going to buy it. No one's gonna. They're gonna think they're just talking stupid. They're gonna think you're not manic, because there's never mania from this. For the last year, there has not been mania in my part where it's like, wow, making the mind your bitch. Why didn't I ever? Why was it always about transcending where I'm at? Why not mastering where I'm at? Why do I have to go to the next level when I can just, I'm in the dirt of this level. I should be polished here. I should really build something here. Or excuse me, reduce, right? Take down, like the guy in Minecraft. And yeah, so for my Western style mode of thinking, throughout most of my day, I read books to go that way. But um, it is still Western if you look far enough into history. But let's say the Eastern side of it is being, where you don't need books; it's just whatever you can get inward. And if I had to choose one or the other, you can't choose, because one is conscious, one is kind of like unconscious, right? You have to be out in the world and in your inner world. You have to do both. You can't have one without the other. And I don't know why every YouTube channel is punishing their chatters by saying Nietzsche is the answer, Jung is the answer, Jung's takes on Christianity is the answer, and this guy's there's like 5,000 versions of Christianity on YouTube. And when you find out how much a human lies, especially a truthful human that thinks they're telling the truth but is lying to themselves, you'll realize how useless a lot of that stuff is without practicing being. Practicing being is really remembering yourself. Right? There'll be moments in your day where you'll see your vision, your line of vision in front of you, and I call it seeing your nose, right? And you go, oh shit, I'm conscious right now. Oh, how long was I seeing just the world without my nose, without my line of sight? Just the world? And you go, oh wow. And sometimes you can definitely catch when you're unconscious and how long you've been unconscious after it happens, but never during, which is the scary part. Is like if you cannot catch it during, which is impossible, no one can do it. But what's that really saying to you is that there's layers to that blanket, right? And that blanket of unconscious, it can be fun, but it's never fun for too long, right? It's never fun for too long. So, yeah. How far do you go into mysticism? For the last 10 years, uh, I feel like that's the one thing that has defined my channel since my first day on the Raj Patel, where people are like, oh, this guy reminds me of Alex Jones, but he's not that political. I mean, he'll make jokes, political jokes, but he's not that political. He's in a different world. And I think my world enhances every world. Like if you add spirituality to a plumber, and I'm talking about like practicing being with self. I'm not talking about religious texts right now. Religious texts can help you chant, and certainly scripture can uh, help you get more inward. But these are advanced practices. When you think of the basics are to liberate your day. But when your day is liberated, the first thing you'll need is a mentor. And I don't mean this. I mean one-on-one. Like it might be a bunch of people, but maybe 10 people, but there'll be someone to talk to you face to face. And it's not going to be a mentor that doesn't want to do it, like me. Sorry, but I wouldn't want to do that, especially because I'm a baby. I'm 30 years old. Most these fucking guys who take on that kind of responsibility are taking a vow of not making mistakes. I will never take that vow. I will never give up my learning phase in order to I mean, the most tempting part of taking on a really big task like that at a young age would be how much I get to learn. Because, dude, most of learning is teaching, right? God made the world in such an interesting way where if you're helping someone, you get to remember whatever you're teaching. But if you read and don't teach it, you'll never remember it. Some people take notes, they do everything, and it's like notes and all that works until the test. Then after the test, when you go on to the next chapter, you kind of forget what you learned. And it's because you're cluttered. You haven't taken out those 1,000 thoughts every morning, right? I'm calling it way higher than 1,000 thoughts, but you understand what I'm saying. Um, and yeah, I'm rambling. Go ahead. Oh, I didn't even answer your question. I just halfway cut you off. Good question. Is becoming a mystic? Well, I'm not saying you have to. I'm not. I don't want anyone here to become a mystic. What the hell? Do you know what a mystic is? It's someone who is born into that role. That's like being born into being a race car driver at the F1. There's very few people on earth. I'm not saying that will destroy your life. You know how many people have done the Sam Harris thing where they go here, and I'm not saying you go join a Christian temple, and none of that. No way. You are born into your role for a reason. You have something to do there. I'm just saying that their techniques. I made a tweet about how every philosopher doesn't. I mean, like, look at Nietzsche is so intelligent, and then he went mad. Where it's like that light bringer energy is real, dude. That's Luciferian. Where it's like, yeah, you're on Earth to think and taste things and stuff, but you can't let that be the end all. Thinking is the end all of your life, just thinking and more, and then you go psychotic, and then everyone in history has to say, well, maybe Nietzsche wasn't that amazing. And it's like, no, it's both. He was amazing and he went too far, right? Not saying don't read. I'm not fucking saying I'm not saying don't read that. It's great work, but it's like thinking will I can't imagine how people suffer in a different way. I don't think people are afraid of knives as much as they are of overthinking for 10 years straight, right? Or until they drive themselves into madness. Yeah. Okay, cool. This is the next question. How do I know if I'm going too far? I think too much. Yeah, that reminded me what I was saying. When you look at the philosophers, they're so amazing and they're just, one-sided brain. But you look at the mystics and they kind of dominate their mind, but they don't have these amazing works published and all the notoriety and fame. And they're kind of just like in their temple doing their thing. And it's not as magnetic to you because there's no success to it. But the both answer is correct, where it's like you should have both of that. Why for last 10 years, have studied mystics over philosophers, even though I know a lot about philosophy compared to the average guy, I think. But if you look at how many philosophers had so many weird problems compared to a lot of simple thinkers, and simple thinkers are like these guys who find thinking to be overwhelming every day. So they have a practice to reduce it. And you'll only know this after like what's the Jungian approach, where it's like try 1 year of religion and 1 year without, and see how your life, how different your life is. Yeah, try 1 year with mastering your mind by actually going to zero for 20 minutes of your day before you start your day. Try a year of that, and I think you'll come back and give me $10,000. Really, I think you will come back and give me $10,000 and be like, "That was the greatest thing. That was greater than religion. That was greater than anything." Because that one's the sport. Religion's kind of just on the sidelines, and the sport is doing what they did. And It'll sound like a task too large for you because you're not thinking that there's another part of your day. So there's that part of your day, and then there's thinking, getting going to work, being around friends, having a couple beers, all that. When you combine those two in your mind, you go, oh wow, that makes way more sense. And then if you realize you're going too far into one side and not hanging out with your friends and doing all that at least a couple times a week, then you're in for what's that called? A super inflated ego, where you think you're chosen for something better than. That's the simple answer, and that's never the case. Okay, let's see. Thoughts on mirror gazing? I'm pretty sure I've commented on how dangerous that is. Now, let's say someone's meditated for a year and they do it. I don't think that's dangerous at all. But let's say it's someone who's always every day has 1,000 dark thoughts. They don't know how to get to zero. They don't know how rhythmic breathing can calm them down. Like, I think one of the greatest things you should remember is no human has ever calmed their anxiety by thinking more, but they've all done it through breathing, right? Once your breathing becomes rhythmic, once you're in the space between a thought and a thought, right there where you're thinking of nothing, you do that for 20 minutes. And I don't mean like a timer or any of that. It just, the only rule has to be that it's not interrupted. If someone opens the door, walks in, or calls if it gets interrupted for 1 second, you wasted 24 hours of that year. You can't do it again. Um, I mean, you can, but I really don't like my guys doing it again. I think being that strict with technology is way better, because doing it again you are going to do with this. You know how people cling to their suffering again? You're going to do with this anger, dude. You're going to do with this anger. And we don't need that. There's so many parts of your day that you can use anger. Anger is so useful. It's so energetic. It's so great. But when it gets burnt out and it turns into this self-bickering faggot energy, I don't think I hate anything more than irritation. I don't mind being angry. I can live with being angry, but irritation, constant irritation, which is anger, where as soon as anger burns down the feeling center and goes into thinking, it turns into irritation, or it'll go into your moving parts and you might fucking walk too fast, slip and break your fucking ankle. It goes it leaks into other areas of your life, and you go, ooh, this is what the alchemist meant by untangling the three-headed dragon of thinking, feeling, and willing. And it's like, think of being an emperor with $1 billion and overthinking. Always palms sweaty, always feeling like you're gonna puke, always stomach tight, always every energy center. And I don't mean just like the chakras or the seven churches or the column. I mean, even here, you feel tension on your fucking finger. I don't think the $1 billion has that much of a magnetic pull if you add it with high anxiety states and anxious states. And I don't even mind if someone is a loser in life. If he's not anxious, to me, that's a winner, right? I think I feel like that's the golden kingdom, is if you're anxious and you're winning, which I spent a lot of years doing that. And it's like, I'm not going to lie to you. I did something really evil to myself, dude. This is the darkest thing I've ever done. Is I would not let go of my suffering until I was getting paid without working, which is, because imagine if you start, let's say, 1 year of this, but you have to do 12 hours a day on streaming. And, oh, I'm going to use some Adderall before I meditate, and then we're going to see those thoughts. And, oh, that's the thought I want to drive into the stream. And all of this stuff that every day piles on extra, 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 and 1,000 new thoughts because you fucking on 35 milligrams or whatever the fuck, and you're using copes and crutches, but wow, you're powerful doing this, but for how long are you powerful? And what are you losing doing this? And all my life I've looked into, since the bodybuilding days, where it's like, whoa, a chemical, whether it's caffeine right now in my stomach changes my world, or alcoholism, or steroids, or blow, or whatever it is, it's always a chemical thing linked to your astral, where it's like, you cannot avoid this. This is why I get so angry when people say alchemy is spiritual, and it's not material and chemical. That's just what they use to escape the Catholic Church from beheading them. And it's like, no, it's both, dude. It's literally both. How the food, when you eat McDonald's, you're in a different world than when you were fasted. Certain things you put chemically in your body change psychically, spiritually, your function. It's literally both. It's not just spiritual. They're linked like this. I feel like no YouTube channel says this. Like they have millions of views and they always say, well, it's not about the material world, it's about the spiritual world. They just use that as it's literally like this, dude. You can't have one without the other. You're so fucking stupid. Like one coffee can change this whole stream of mine, right? And when you see that, you'll be like, ooh, what chemicals am I into? Nicotine and this and that, right? What did Paracelsus is my favorite dude ever, right? He's like the proto mystic before the mystics were even, or excuse me, he's like the proto medical scientific mystic, where what he said the best thing ever. He says the dose dictates the poison, right? Meaning, have a bit of nicotine, but that's it. I think you should remember how hard humans identify. I mean, look at the transgender thing if you really want to see it. But a man will identify so hard, and this has happened to me where Gurdjieff said the greatest thing. He said, a man will smoke a pipe until one day he becomes the pipe. And that's really what that guy at the coffee shop that smokes all day has become. Take that pipe away from him, and who is he? He's rattled, he's nervous, he's fucked up. Yeah. Did I answer your question? I feel like I went on my own kind of. I have some self notes I have in here that it's like, don't forget to say this. I feel like I push that note into in front of your answer. If I'm 18, what should I do? Here again, struggling with purpose. I'm telling you, dude, you have 1,000 purposes that are fake and shadows in your head. They're called thoughts. And there's a lot more when you think of the feeling and the other centers. But I'm telling you right now, dude, until you go to zero, it's not going to work for you. Sometimes you'll be forced to do it. You'll be like, I'm not doing this shit until life cracks you hard. And it's like, no, you're going to sit in your room and you're going to get to somewhere. You're going to delete 1,000 thoughts and see what the fuck bubbles up there. You are not your thoughts. You are not the pipe. You are not nothing you're identifying with. And you're not nothing. There's a lot to your core. For example, a mom can see the difference in essence and personality in two of her toddlers. And they're just fucking toddlers, meaning they came preset with certain things that they're supposed to do here. Circa, you predicted there would be domestic attacks here in USA, and you were 100% correct. What is the next big thing you'll predict? I feel like a lot of people predict that. I don't think that's anything to like pat me on the back for, but a big one's going to be um, a shutting of the electric grid. Not to like instill fear in you or anything, but if you're prepared for that, I think it's a good thing. Uh, and you guys got to remember my strongest prediction, which I know we're Trumpers, but like I've been saying to my inner group this whole time, I don't really like saying this publicly because people really like to, call me liberal if I say this, but Trump means bad times are coming, right? No amount of good he does is not coming with a big shadow. And I mean that's the left wing shadow that is going to terrify you. Remember, they're burning fucking streets down when he was president, right? I'm not saying that's all his fault, right? There's a million people to blame. It's not just the leftists, right? But you got to remember, politics is like a battle to the end. And really, I think you guys should be as much, you do whatever you fucking want to do. Obviously, don't ever listen to me here, but if I was to give an antidote, which this is not like an answer, that I don't think you should take this, identify and run with it too much, but it feels like the right answer. It's like shouldn't a man only be as much into politics as like a Zerka type, where it's like funny to me, but it's not draining my day? Like, do you think of Hassan Piker? He's made a lot of money and stuff, but he's always like, he's got little bitch eyes, little prey eyes. He's always hurt. Something's always like eating him. Is that worth it? I don't know. Hope maybe in his mind he's changing the world. Maybe it's worth it to him, but I feel like there's more to master than just the finance side of it. Like what about courage and uh, being at peace with yourself? I don't think there's a lot of courage to what Hassan Piker does, where it's like it's genius. It's a lot of fear mongering, right? And I don't dare critique that too much because I'm like Alex Jones type. So to me, I think I'm being entertaining, but really, it's probably scaring the shit out of someone, right? Probably, yeah. I've got a lot to answer for. That's a lot of sinful activity if you think about it. I'm probably terrified. There was one guy that said, "You terrified the fuck out of me. I thought you were evil." And remember, if you ever have to ask yourself, "Is Zerka evil?" He's both, man. He's good and he's evil. The answer's always in the middle. Like, is Hassan Piker a bad guy? To us, he's pretty bad, but there's a lot of good to him too. Humans are a crowd of people. It's not just one guy. There's one Hassan Piker, and then there's one that jokes, and one that likes Bill Burr, and one that finds him sexist. And there's a crowd of people in every individual. You got to move the crowd. They've got to become your bitch eventually. Your core essence will make that crowd your bitch. So when you have to be funny, you get up and be funny for me. When you have to, you can use that crowd, but you should be lashing. You should be riding that Plato's carriage. Um, Yeah, it is great. Zergo, what did you mean about replacing your fake personality with hidden nature when doing everyday tasks differently? I think the fastest way to strengthen will and add color to your world is always take a different route. Meaning, if you walk to school one way, take a different street until you have 7 different streets for 7 days of the week, so you're out of routine. Because a lot of your routines, you call it routine because you're just going unconscious, but it's routine because you do it every day. It's not routine because it's like giving you a fucking six pack. It's not giving you anything really. Maybe it's 10 minutes more this way, 10 minutes less that way, which you should never ever be fighting the time like that. It's like this path is actually gets me there the fastest, and it's like you're an hour early for school just to overthink at your desk like a fucking faggot. I hate overthinkers because, guys, you got to remember when I was all right. Let's go back to this. When I'm liberated, I said to Hex, I said to Eden, I said, "Bro, until I'm making the same, or excuse me, more money than I was on Twitch and YouTube and all this, but not working, right? Just like these stupid fucking skanks I'm around. They're like they do nothing and they overthink till they cut their wrists. They're fucking demonic. They're OF bitches, but when I finally got the paycheck I want for not working 7 days a week, and I felt like, oh wow, running a business is so much better than being an influencer, you know. But it came with another problem of overthinking, and it's like, oh, I have to go back. I haven't done this in a while. It's been like a couple of months, right? It's been like a season, yeah. I have to go back to dealing with overthinking now that I have way more time. Because if you just read books, you'll still overthink, right? So I'm like, oh fuck, I hate this balancing work, but I want to go back to being the shit to myself, right? Your essence is the shit to yourself. You'll love your essence, trust me. And it's like a lot of people do this with the courage of I'm not getting paid like that, and I'm still starting this journey. I did it the other way, where it's like, until I get paid how I want to be paid, until I have the free time to do this, I'm not starting this. And then after a year of this, I'm like, wow, there's literally 8 hours of great energy after 20 minutes of meditation. They could have been gone to making the best content. I feel like I did everything wrong, uh, which is weird because, there's that thought where it's like, well, you're fucking top 1% male and you're doing pretty good. And compared to everyone in your fucking college and high school, you're killing them. And yeah, but compared to myself, I'm doing not that great. I mean, I know the potential of self. I know you know the potential of yourself. it scares you. It's like there's nothing more terrifying than good news, and you know that good news is like, wow. And now check this out. If I ever had the answer of going to this kind of mystical practice and treat it as religious as I did football practice and this and that, but there is no shadow side to it of like having a regular life, oh, bro, I would be literally going crazy. And I feel like a lot of you are going to be so fucking into getting into the sport of mysticism, self mysticism for self. You don't tell anyone, it's between you and God, but it's you, and He's watching that. Or you and the next you, which is the old you, and it's the moment, it is you. When you look into it like this, you're going to be like, oh, damn, I love that way of life. I'm going to let go of technology and having these kind of friends, right? And it's like maybe someone you play ping pong with. It's not even that toxic for you, right? It's just fucking ping pong. And then you go back into feeling lost as fuck, and you go, wow, because you're identifying with being a mystic. It's probably the worst thing to identify with. I'm telling you, there's nothing worse than being off balance. And if you look at the my career highlights, it's when I'm balancing out. Actually, that's kind of why I'm glad that Twitch banned me and softened me up, because I came in that bitch with like knives, guns, and shit. I came in weird. I had to really become a civilian again to have a product to sell, right? I mean, I would always sell that aspect of myself that would put me in prison, but that's not selling. That's like you're losing everything, man. So I came into if people knew how much of the stuff was not jokes when I came out of Twitch, they would never platform me. So, like, shout out some of the worst years of my life and the best years is did anyone else feel like, or is this just me, the first 2 years of Biden's presidency is the worst thing you've ever went through? And then the last 2 years of Biden was fucking awesome. Not all the way, it still had its thing, it's always the answer's always in the middle, but yeah. I am worried about giving a lot of middle answers to you guys, because a lot of you guys, your middle will be being more extreme. I swear to God. Some of you guys are fucking pussy faggots. But when I'm talking about someone as wacky as like a Zerka type, that and balancing is always when my money's going up. I have a lot of, I'll use women as like to gauge my magneticism. Not that it's like a win in itself, but yeah. Um, yeah, you can see the middle of yourself, your winning self, when political bad news is funny to you. I'm telling you. If you read like anyone I see Twitter political channels, I think I unfollowed like 500 of them. I'm just like, first of all, I'm not even spending any time on Twitter because of these guys. I just look at it, I'm like, I'm over this. I'm way too old for this. But yikes, yeah, internet sucks for a lot of that stuff. We have entered the golden age of Aquarius, yeah, the most selfish age, where it's self, 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 all self. Yeah. Do you think this will be a golden age of false peace and prosperity? No, dude, there's no such thing as that. It's you versus you. The world doesn't even exist. All right? The world's always second. You master your inner world, and then you'll lose it tomorrow, and then you go back to it. Because if you remember, none of you are going to be like mystics. Mastery is like an illusion you're identifying with. But yeah, when you realize it's your inner world first, the outer world's gonna look shiny. It's gonna look nice. It's gonna have green grass and golden sunlight, especially in the rain. Okay. Can you explain what it means to remember yourself? That would be a very stupid way of trying to get you guys motivated to do that. There are no words for it. There are no books for it, even though all your answers you feel are going to come from books. There's a lot of people who have spoken about it. And you're going to be like, holy fuck, I feel like I'm remembering something. And it's like, you might even do the thing I did where it's like, let's just put the working in my inner world, let's put that more on the back burner. Let's read more about this. And it's like, doesn't work. The reading will always pour out of your ears. It might take a few weeks, might take a few months, but you will slowly, unconsciously forget it in a weird way. You'll remember bits and pieces and the less important stuff. But when you're doing both, when you see it as a sport and you see your mind as a sport, that you're just like every day trying to shoot threes, then you're like, oh, this middle center, this is a lot of money, this is a lot of women. You're not identifying with the women, you're not healing Mike, but it's there for you, right? And and that's a beautiful thing. It's like living in Vegas where you have all the nasty things in the world right at your doorstep, and you say, nah. Or you might dabble, and I don't. I'm getting too far into that. Let's go back to being myself. What does it mean if you're crying in dreams, waking up to tears on your face? Well, you're seeing a lot of what you're supposed to be doing on here, and then you're unconsciously forgetting about it, putting psychic blocks because it's too traumatizing, right? But you should always navigate a dream with amplification of what color was the wall, what was this, what was that. And then once you get the setting down, then you should immediately target the feeling. Oh, I felt a sense of loss. Oh, I felt a sense of jealousy. Oh, I felt a sense that. Your answer will be there, but I'm never going to answer questions about 99% of your questions are going to be, you have to do the work, bro. I'm not going to do it for you because, well, let's be real. The real me, because I love the guys who support me. I love having this kind of lifestyle. The real me would want to, hey, give me this 50-hour Adderall. Okay, I'll just solve your problems. I solve 1,000 of your problems, and then you'll come back to me tomorrow with 1,000 more. It's like, if you don't do it yourself, I'd love to do it for you, dude. I'm getting paid by you. I'd love to do that for you. I think it's interesting. And I feel like, oh, I'm solving a lot of my problems if I do that, but it doesn't really get you anywhere. In this system, especially, like you said, the age of Aquarius, it's about doing it yourself or tapping out and becoming a fucking NPC and zombie. And a zombie will eventually get there. It's just not with our circle. Because our circle will get there. And that's the whole point of me breathing. We have to get there, or else you guys get kicked out of the group. What do you think about psychics? I think there's more fraud in the world than anything. Yeah. Okay, can you break down the essence and personality distinction a bit more? Yeah, personality is everything that you identify with, you find in culture and things you copy. It's a lot of your motor patterns and your moving parts, your moving center will be like that. A lot of your thinking, right? And essence is a lot more of that halfway state. Conscious, unconscious, the middle, the waking, right? That feeling, which feeling is, I'm not saying it should be unbalanced, but you can see how powerful feeling is with the Hollywood celebrities and these Billie Eilishes. They can go into a space where they make insane music, right? But then it comes with a lot of darkness too. But yeah, you should definitely see it as a balance of the three. And, but to answer your question, it's really about like, if it's not solving your problems, is it really worth looking into in others that much? Unless they're reminding you of yourself, which they will be. That's why you'll make a mean comment and project your insecurity, all that. Hold on, I feel like I didn't answer that fully. What was the question fully? Does loving your family improve your mind? Yeah, of course it does. All that armor built around your heart is going to ruin your life. So you do that anytime you're eating the wrong thoughts. Like the man eats bread and food and air, right? Especially if he's playing sports, breathing practice, meditation, whatever. You eat air, and you're eating thoughts, right? You're digesting them. A lot of them are horrific for you, and so if you don't have a good family life, you're eating a lot of toxic junk in you, right? Or you should really ask yourself, did you incarnate? Meaning, did you pop into this world from some other spiritual realm you can't remember. Did you come into here when you descended to be with your family as an accident, or should you be good with your family? I think it's like, I think even a criminal knows, you know, I mean, he might run from it, but I think everyone knows the answer. I mean, the whole compass of the world is pointing at the good, right? Like Conor McGregor spat on someone today, and everyone's talking about the good and what's the good that should be done. Everyone's talking about the good, always the good, that this is a real man wouldn't do this, or he stood up for himself, or everyone has a million opinions of what the good is. And you're asking me, should you and your family life be good? Are you fucking retarded? How many hours we in? What's the best way to network and meet new people when you have to see the same people every day? That's a stupid question. If you the same day you're gonna keep having for the rest of your life. You can see your future by looking at your past. This is how businesses work, by the way. So you're never gonna meet new people because you have the same day over and over again. You're trapped in an unconscious routine. And the first sorry, my stomach, man. I haven't ate. I gotta go, guys. I'm starving. The first thing you should remember is, do you feel trapped? If you are trapped and in prison, do you want to escape? A lot of you guys don't want to escape. A lot of you guys are 20 years old, so you're like, a lot of this stuff's gonna hit you maybe when you're 28. Older guys, it's hitting you like a brick right now. I know you're just sitting there like, is he fucking with my mind, or is this the most mind-bending talk of my life? And I'm trying so hard not to be performative and too entertaining, where I'm like triggering your scare, your instinct to scare drive, where I ultimately get more money and more customer out of you, more service, where I give you a bit more service for a lifetime following or subscription, paid subscription. I don't want to do that to you, but the older guys will be getting hit like a brick with this stream compared to like an 18-year-old kid will be like, oh, I got time. And it's like, you do have time. But if you're identifying with you do have time, you don't have time. You're going to be identifying with the worst mindset, the most addictive mindset of, I'll do it later. So do a bit of it today and then do some of it later. But don't ever just kick your feet up and be like, this entertainment is. You have to go through a year just laughing. It was like Dragon Year is the best year ever when we think of mindset. Or do you remember how much I loved my own suffering when I was like getting exposed and stuff? I love to beat myself down for it because I'm like, a real man will take responsibility, but that is such fake news. Like, how many men on earth take responsibility? They make super efforts to feel bad about themselves. How many of those men are actually doing anything in the world, right? So I should have just given up Mike and my suffering with it, not half-half. What would you change if you could go back in time? Mm, I want to say the friends I'm around, but then I have no one. I didn't have any other friends. Like, it would have just been me. I would have gone crazy, right? I don't know. And if I answer it like the friends I have, does that mean I have none of them? Or if I could replace them for some friends, like the friends like the Haases, the Sneakos, the Jacksons, the people that are good for me? Good question. Every time I visualize success, linger in the feeling, I always realize. So that's the Neville Goddard crowd. Yeah, I always realize success will English, bro, will feel the same as it does in my present. Am I doing it right? If you're asking, am I doing it right? You're doing it wrong. Because when you do it right, nothing I say will matter. Because you will identify with how good it feels in a good way, not in something too bad. Embarrassment and courage are tough words for me at the moment. No, they're not. Give up your suffering, bro. Move on. Like a lot of you have just like this demeanor of something's like in a video game hitting you with arrows. You feel bad for no reason. Just let go of your suffering right now in this moment. Stay with us for at least an hour, and you'll be like, oh, I did 4, 5, 6 hours today. Tomorrow 7, 8. Oh wow, 24 hours. Oh wow, a few months of 80% less suffering. Oh wow, you can consciously let go of it. Yeah, but you're a lot less meaningful and amazing when you let go of it, and you feel like a blank SpongeBob state when you let go of it. And I want to have more meaning in this world, so I'm gonna hold on to my suffering. It's like, dude, you're gonna have more tomorrow. I guarantee you. Just let go of it for an hour. All right, what's my time? I ripped the band-aid off on politics convo with the girl I'm dating. Probably the first convo ever with her that wasn't in a state of play. How do I navigate this? I wasn't there. I started censoring myself because I wasn't willing to nuke the relationship over gay shit. Yeah, but are you censoring essence or just personality? Is it the core of what you believe in? So that's going to come out. She's the introvert type that forms actual opinions on shit. Interestingly, she was raised extremely conservative. They always are. Lives like one and clearly doesn't realize she likes conservative men. Well, she's with you, right? So she does. Yeah, don't identify too much on, like when you say state of play, why is it that serious, right? Shouldn't you be playing and having fun? Shouldn't you go get some fucking ice cream with her? Why is it getting that deep? It's because you're identifying with the relationship. You're not seeing yourself, you're becoming one, and then that's gonna scare her eventually, dude. Or very quick for a lot of you. Just go have some fucking ice cream. It's not that deep. Man, a lot of you guys have some faggot energy. I feel like a year of me giving you the same answer is not working. Go have some ice cream and just be a kid. A lot of you guys want these deep talks and deep conversations with people to instill meaning so you can hold on to them for life, and it's going to scare them. You'll hold on to her for a long time when you let go of her. As far as how to scare her if you keep assuming the relationship is one, you and her don't do them. Yeah, exactly. You get it. All my wicked ways. Adrian, you trying to let me talk with you? No homo. What the? I'm gonna leave if this is the chat I have, dude. This is like easily could charge. I could charge you 10,000 rubles for this, man. Who the fuck else is as smart as me currently? I'm not. I'm usually not this smart, but when you're in front of a crowd of people that give you money, you better fucking serve them. It's like they come to the party, they come to my barbecue, and I'm like, you guys want to do a react stream instead? That's crazy, dude. I can't believe I wasn't into, you get into self development or teaching it, and you become way better yourself. Everything you gain, you have to immediately give to them, and then you gain more. But if you hold on to it, you lose everything you have plus more than you had. That's fucking so true, man. That is the Kabbalion right there. Maybe it's not going to make sense to you guys because you're like 20 years old, but I think it should. For the older guys, you should be like, oh, wow, that selfish guy doesn't win. Well, I mean, he might win, make $1 million and have a Ferrari, but overthinking doesn't let him enjoy the Ferrari. And remember, I never say you don't get the Ferrari. I believe you will get it, guys. I believe in you guys, but do I believe that you'll enjoy the Ferrari? I don't believe that for a second. I mean, the trick of life that we all know is hard to put into words is enjoying the less as you're getting more. Isn't that the best? It's like, a bicycle would be nice to get from point A to B. I'll be satisfied with a bicycle, and then you have a Ferrari. How much do you enjoy that, motherfucker? But if you say I need the Bentley, and then the Ferrari, and then the and then the, and then the, and it never ends. so much abyss. And it's a beautiful thing when you think about it. It's like, huh, all these texts are telling me how to use my brain, and I'm watching Ben Shapiro and reading Nietzsche. There's like millions of other losers. I'll call them losers. I don't give a fuck. What are we fucking spiritually enlightened, this bitch? Nah, we're just human. I could never actually give up the word faggot. Right? If God came down to me and said, I'll give you wings and initiate you to the highest center of angelhood, but you gotta let go of the word faggot. You're like, yo, that's not personality, that's essence, bro. I have to call my chat. There's nothing better than shocking your chat out of apathy by calling them a fucking faggot, especially if some of you guys are homos. It stings more. That would be fucking hilarious if one of you's a homo. Fuck, this one's hitting hard. Yeah, that's what I'm here for. Okay, should I get out of here? I feel like the rest is babble. Rudolph Steiner said, yeah, about the three magi and how like a lot of things in history overlap and the timeline's wrong. Yeah, he says a bunch of that stuff, and who knows what's right or wrong, right? Who knows anything about that? Because you got to remember, this guy's more of a Gnostic thinker for Christianity. He believes that that the solar being of the Christos is into the etheric earth for us, but he's not an absolutist fundamentalist Christian. And he, remember, broke ties with the Theosophists because they were dick riding the East too much. And he's like, whoa, what the fuck? If we don't have Christ in this, we're not doing it. So he made anthroposophy, and he started anthroposophy because of that. So this is more very mystical Christianity, right? It is interesting how Rudolf Steiner is probably the only person in the Christian world, and this guy's a Jew, remember, but he's the only Christian that said that the scripture is something you meditate on. And bro, he brought that back, and that's huge. Where it's like, everyone reads the Bible, and then everyone is just everyone. They're just nobodies. They're just NPCs, right? And he's like, no, look at these verses and meditate on these, and try and get the Bible that way. And that's way more powerful. That means one verse is bigger than the whole reading the Bible, because you're actually understanding that verse. So he brought in a lot of awesome practices. I think they disappeared for a long time, right? Mhm. And now you can see why there's so many different versions of the Bible and all these kind of mystical texts, because they don't want you. No, nobody wants you meditating on the correct way to meditate on it, right? Yeah. What's the first step to unraveling on subconscious? Well, the first step is realizing that the word subconscious is kind of a stupid word. Even when you're conscious, you're unconscious. I'm telling you, there's very few moments in your life where you are conscious. And you would trade everything you have for those moments to last longer. I'm telling you, this is why inner work is so huge. Right? You eat air every day and you're going crazy. Why don't you eat air? Have a rhythmic practice, breathing practice of meditation, and actually expel dark thoughts out of your mind, especially good thoughts that turn dark. They just linger until they spin too much. Yeah. Yeah. This is the practice of remembering yourself. It's much bigger than learning new things. And then learning new things as you're closer to your core and taking off those layers of unconscious, then learning things becomes really fun. You feel 7 years old learning about dinosaurs again, right? Yeah, should I get out of here or are we rambling? Because I'm also battling the coffee. I'm out of coffee, so I think in exactly like 30 minutes, I start talking slower. The answer is the same, but without the energy, I don't want to post that kind of content. I hate slow talkers. I grew up with the internet, bro. I'm kind of like TikTok brain as well, so I hate people who post that kind of shit. Even though some of the most base things are the most boring. Have you noticed on the internet? where it's like, there's something really good in this chapter, but it's slow as fuck. I know Charles Hamill is, but I'm not that familiar because you got to remember the book list I released is all I have up here. Or whatever floats. I don't. Other books would be like Bionicle and some novels and maybe not Animal Farm, but Lord of the Flies and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't have anything else up here except those books. And it's interesting. How many of you guys getting into the books that I posted? How many of you guys are seeing a lot? How many of you guys are seeing a lot of what I've said? Like, how many of you are like connecting the pieces of, oh wow, there's not much else in Zerka's head right now, at least. I'm talking about extra stuff. I know that there's like an infinite well in every human, inward, but I'm saying outward, the stuff that the language I use, the words, those kind of schemes. Yeah, how many of you guys are like, oh wow? Like I'd say if you saw my content style, it'd be like of the things I go over. It's kind of like a mixture of Kabbalion, Ouspensky's work with Gurdjieff and Steiner, and Goddard. Right? I said Goddard. And then what else is in there? Yeah, my downtime and stuff will be like Plato, because Plato is the king of all philosophers. They all built off him, and he built off truth. Yeah. Yeah, I would say Neville Goddard is like a white belt. Steiner would be like a black belt. So always start small, and then you build this kind of awesome momentum. Some of you guys who jumped in from reading these kind of books, you went from Roblox to reading these kind of books. Yeah, you're going nowhere quick. You better. I think someone should grade the system. I don't know how we'd grade that, but yeah, it's way more fun to go from simple to a little more complicated, a little than going complicated to bring back Rose Banner on X. Man, I can't tell you how much uh how awesome that the only dude on the TV, on Gaia TV and the internet, those podcasts, the only guy that I will ever recommend will be Dr. Robert Gilbert. Which it's gonna be funny because he's also gonna tell you guys like, you don't have to be in a monogamous relationship. You could be into well, your girl goes this way, and you have other partners, and there's gonna be stuff that challenge your thinking. A lot of you guys think like me, so you're gonna be like, whoa, but there's gonna be other stuff that you go like, yeah, this is the real deal. He's awesome. Yeah, Dr. Robert Gilbert is probably really really nice guy in person too, like really nice guy, or on Zoom call at least. Like you can tell he's the one guy on Gaia TV that, or YouTube or History Channel and all that knows what he's talking about. Mm. Yeah, I'm gonna try and have it on. We've been talking to his fucking guy who schedules his shit, and I'm trying to get him on for a stream. That would be awesome because I know guys who got him on, and he'll definitely do it. You could murder a puppy and he'll get on your shit, as long as he feels like he's helping people. He's like a Paracelsus type. He's a great guy. Everyone else on those podcasts, I think they're full of shit. I know no human's full of shit fully. There's some good there too, but yeah, I don't recommend any of those other guys. Yeah, no, he's a Kabbalist. He's hardcore. He's like, bro, some of you guys are gonna see him as like evil. Look into his stuff. He goes in deep. He goes in deep. He's not Jewish. He's a white guy. He spent time in Japan, right? He's the Jared Taylor level of intelligence if Taylor was into mysticism instead. Yeah, I think he's the king of mystic Christianity. Yeah, 100%. I feel like I was the first one to bring up the Steiner thing before him. But now that he's popped off, he's the king. Yeah. Yeah, the way you should see it, Twist, is 99.9% of things you read about will look satanic to you. Like every single thing you look into will have an element of gnosis, knowledge, and Satanism. And it's really up to you to decide. No human can tell you which channel is evil, which is not. Mhm. Like I will never tell you this guy is 100% legit. Go check him out for yourself and see if you like their shit. Mm. Yeah, a lot of you guys are gonna, especially fundamentalist Christians, hate how much the Buddhist teaching, the Indian teaching, the Brahmic teaching will overlap with original Christianity or those first 500 years of Christianity. Like Orthodox guys, a lot of Catholic guys, you guys are gonna hate this stuff. You're gonna hate it. It's like I don't know what to tell you. It's like you read your stuff, we'll read our stuff, and yeah, we'll see how many people you help versus how many people I help. I think that's a good way to gauge it. It's like, what did Goethe say? He said, since no one can figure out what truth is and they debate until they crack each other's skulls open, truth is whatever is fruitful for you. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. That is insane. I think Gurdjieff said it best when he said, a Christian is someone who does. So no one's a Christian. I'm like, that is so fucking true. You know, like that's a huge title to be initiated into Christian history. You just your bio. What the? I can't believe. I mean, it's awesome for blood sports and politics, building your YouTube channel. But it's like when you get down to your core and you're teaching a class, there's a bunch of you guys here. Very terrifying to say, yo, I'm the Christian. A lot of you guys do that, right? You identify with that. Uh, Dr. Robert Gilbert's like he's huge. You've probably already seen his stuff. He's like on Gaia TV, right? Yeah. He's like he's very into reincarnation, all that kind of Steiner stuff. So I think it's great entertainment too. I think it's awesome. Just keep an open mind and but other YouTube channels I really don't like I don't think for the last couple of years I hate saying this because I love the guy, but I don't do Alex Jones. You know what I mean? What do you guys do? If it's not books, I like you got to remember that it's also a lot of dangerous stuff. Like one thing that I don't blame. I'm gonna have him on, so I don't want to be too rude. Just hopefully sooner than later. But I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I want to ask him this because it is kind of mean too. But like when you look at the work of Samuel Sagan for the Doctor Samuel Sagan, the Australian guy, the late Samuel. I know 1% of like meditators are fucking they kill themselves, but yeah, that guy, he was a doctor. He's like a very intelligent guy, and then he went into spirituality and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, he recently like offed himself. So I'm not gonna ask Dr. Robert Gilbert when he's on our YouTube, but like it's kind of interesting. Like, a lot of these guys who play with this talking to higher worlds and spirits, I think they get caught. I think any human that kills himself was dealing with a demon. 100%. But, that's also not fair to say because how many of you guys listening to me right now are dealing with demons? You never, ever turn it on yourself. But when you do, you go, whoa. It's a lot of humans who they don't let go of their sufferings. They love the demon. Okay. What time is it? We're done. It's 33% battery on the phone. I think we'll wrap it up here. Okay, like I said, if I cut down on time, I'll up in quality. I don't know what my uptime is, but I think this is You guys have said we have 10 out of 10 shows, but this is the 10 out of 10. I think everything other call was like a 9 out of 10. This is a 10 out of 10. You should definitely message each other if you missed it. And I think I'll be posting this one. Yeah. I'll do another one this week, not as intense, because I feel like every time I do a lecture, it should be up to date with all of my notes of that week. Not just mental notes and what I scribble on. I mean, it should be with my thinking process, so we're always on the same page. So it always feels like an anime. So it always feels entertaining, because I have this. I don't know why I have this performer fear of, like you get a lot more intelligent, and you start doing a lot of better inner work, and then you become just this more boring blob of a guy. I don't believe in that. I think you can do essence and personality. The answer is always both. Don't be dualistic and torture yourself. Jason Reza, he believes in a Prometheus Luciferian relationship worldview. Yeah, I find that so weird how, if I say humans are Luciferic in nature, I find that so weird how everyone attacks me and they go, how could you promote Lucifer? And it's like, dude, Lucifer is the light bringer. Thinking. It's not that thinking is bad, but you can't flirt with it forever. And you have to just walk it like Jesus, where he's next to you and you reject it. You don't follow him all the way. But a lot of thinking also gets a lot of things done, right? So when you look at what thinking is in the esoteric sense, you'll be like, oh, wow, so humans just are most Christians are Luciferic. They're thinkers, right? They torture themselves thinking, like, is God punishing me? And all that, right? Yeah, I'm not saying like ritualistic. I'm saying that that's what Manny P. Hall said, the thieving powers of Lucifer in your hands, as in your thinking motors, which will destroy you, right? That's why I reduce in thinking. That's why I believe in meditation and reducing, cutting down your thinking. I don't think thinking solves thinking ever. I think you'll kill yourself like that. I think it's Luciferic in a horrific way, not in I lost my V card being a little Luciferic, no, in a very bad way. Right? Killing yourself is the worst thing you could do. Okay, that's all for today, folks. I think we're going to up the membership to $1,000 a week.